Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Pit Talk, Pulling Pits and Opinions with your host, Gunny G, where service members help service members, period. Follow, like, subscribe everywhere you get your podcasts and on most social media platforms. Let us know how we're doing. Any criticism is good criticism. We've got a special guest. He'll introduce himself here shortly, but thank you for tuning in and being those followers. I appreciate it. Kevin Brewer, you know what I'm saying? Thanks for coming on. I appreciate your time, appreciate your service, and go ahead and introduce yourself, where you're from, duty station, village, professional bio, so to speak, military background, family, friends, all that good stuff, so we can get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah, so I'm in Virginia now, D.C. area, Northern Virginia. I work for the Department of Justice now as an intelligence analyst. Them supporting federal law enforcement investigations on kind of like money laundering and drug trafficking. That's kind of what I do now. I got out. I joined the Navy out of high school, so in 2002, basically went straight into high school or into the Navy from there. Did the delayed entry program, so I actually signed up before 9/11. And shortly after that, I was in my senior year, and that happened. It was kind of like, I guess we're going somewhere after this, huh? But it was good, man. I did just shy of 7 years in the Navy. I was a CTT, if anybody knows what that is, CTT 1. So it's a cryptologic technician technical. Again, intel, non-communications based signals intelligence, so radar basically. So I did that for, like I said, about 7 years, two months shy of 7 years. I got out because of some health issues, and also because the Navy, they messed up my contract. And I was always told by one of my chiefs in my first duty station that as soon as the Navy gets the upper hand, you're kind of screwed. So I was like, all right, the Navy got the upper hand on me, and I just got out and made the best of life after that. So, see what else. Duty station. So I started out after boot camp, of course, Corey Station in Pensacola is where we go to for our training down there. I did that for however long I was there, for several months or whatever it was, and then I ended up going to Hawaii to direct support on submarines. So I did 3 years there, and so it was direct support on subs. We just fly out, meet a boat, go do our mission, come back. A lot of boat guys didn't necessarily like us because we're the riders, so we don't out there for like a month, 2 months, whatever it was. And so they thought that's all we did is go for a month and go back home, and they're like out for like 6 to 9 months, and it's like, yeah, you're out 6 to 9 months straight. We do this multiple times a year, so this is the only one of the boats we're going to be on this year.
Yeah.
It just depends on it. Certain boats are better than others, but it was a lot of fun though. So I went from Hawaii then over to Virginia to the National Reconnaissance Office. I was at flag duty, so I came over here, and I was doing some traveling the country, giving some training or help providing training on satellite technologies. And I ended up getting told I was going to go on a 2-week translant, which is basically I was put on a boat out of Virginia Beach and said, hey, you're going to go ride this boat across the Atlantic and give some training on the system that they're putting on these boats out there, the ships out there. And while I was underway, there's 2 of us, and they were heeling us back and forth between the different boats. We got together on the 3rd boat riding into Italy, and I got a phone call out to sea, and I was like, who the hell's calling me out in the middle of the Atlantic? This isn't good. So then I was told I'm about to go to Afghanistan. I was like, well, I guess they never said what shore I was going to be on. So 3 months of training later, I was in Afghanistan, and I spent a year in Afghanistan. I came back, did about another year, a little over a year before I got out, and then kind of a sudden getting out because, like I said, they messed up my contract. They extended my enlistment, but they didn't extend my they extended my rotation date, but they messed up my paperwork, didn't extend my enlistment. And by the time we realized it was kind of too late, and they wanted me to go ahead and re-enlist rather than extend. And I was like, nah, if I re-enlist now, I'm going to be on the bad side of the rest of my contract. So I just ended up getting out. Yeah, they didn't like it, but I just got out and said I'll make the best of it. So I went back to Illinois for a couple months, did a bunch of job interviews and stuff. Ended up getting a contracting job back out here in the Northern Virginia area, government contracting stuff, and then stayed out here ever since then. I was doing government contracting from about 2009 until 2023. Actually, that's when I ended up with Department of Justice as a government civilian on that side. So yeah, that's my.
Did you buy your time back, or are you kind of just starting over?
I haven't yet, but yeah, I will.
Okay, that's nice. So how did you get in? I'm a weaver, right? I like to weave back and forth to a lot of different
Yeah, yeah.
topics. And to bring it back full circle, but how did you get into? I'm assuming because of the rate that you had, you kind of transitioned into the job that you have now.
Yeah, so actually, kind of. So when I got out, when I was in Afghanistan, I was doing all source intelligence. So it's kind of more generalized stuff. And that actually helped me more in getting the position I got out of when I got out of the Navy. So when I got out, I ended up doing more all source kind of in stuff. And it's kind of just kept advancing through that. So yeah, and then through that, I kept getting in different positions within that. I started supporting the place I am now, Department of Justice, through contracting first. I was there for about a little 2.5 years, I think. And then I just transitioned over to the government side. They helped open a couple positions, and I literally just changed titles, same seat and everything.
Hey, now there's a retirement in the near future. All right.
Yes.
Actually, give the listeners some good gouge about what you do right now. What is it? I know you gave us an overview. Give something interesting, something to fish hook us in. Like we love Kevin Brewer now.
So yeah, so I do network development, people network, not computer network. So I build out people networks for these drug trafficking and money laundering networks. As a profession, that's what I do in my professional life. And then I do a bunch of training with the people on my team to show them how to do this too and be more effective at it. And also how to brief it, because a lot of times people get these charts and they have no idea how to utilize them. They think it's just for like one thing, and it's like now there's like 50,000 things you can use this chart for. So a big part of it job is actually teaching the agents how to and the lawyers how to actually look at the stuff we give them. Not that they're dumb, it's just they don't know, because they're singular focused. So sometimes we have to teach them on this side because we have different missions, we have different jobs, even though we support each other. Like I can't do what they're doing, nor can they do what I'm doing. They're not trained to. I'm not trained to do their job. So we have to help each other and support each other in that way. And so a big part of it is just training the people. I hope to teach them how to actually brief it and walk somebody through it properly so that it makes sense and they can use it in more ways than just one. Sometimes it can get overwhelming. Sometimes it can get kind of big. And well, I guess fortunately / unfortunately for the agents and the lawyers, that they think that the people that they're looking at may be more important than they really are within the network. And oftentimes you have to like break the ice to them, like, this person's probably not the one you should be looking. So
Interesting.
yeah, so I do that on the professional side. On the other side, I do life coaching, kind of resilience coaching with men, because I went through a lot of health struggles and stuff. And prior to the Navy, or even during the Navy, a lot of my soothing mechanisms, so to speak, the way I dealt with life was more through physical activities. And I had some health issues that took away my ability to do anything physical. And so I had to like get into this stuff, the mental performance space, to learn how to actually process things not in the physical realm. And then ended up leading me to figure out my own problems after 13 years of being misdiagnosed and thrown around the medical system before I was able to get myself some actual healing. And then now, so I do that, and then I do a lot of Spartan races now because of that. It's something I wanted to get into, something I strive to get better for. So now I've been doing
Better
that.
you than me, Kevin. Better you than me. I gotta ask. We gotta come back to. So what year did you get out?
2009.
Oh wow. So
Yeah,
I came in 2010. So a year later is when you.
nice.
And wow. So I'm old. I'm young. Excuse me. You're seasoned salt dog. I'm just a young puppy in the game. Let me ask you, how was outside of the whole, contract, releasement, extension, the politics with that, and the administrative shortfalls there, the transition to civilian, how was it for you?
You don't get a lot of help, honestly. It was good in one sense because like the transition assistance program, the TAP that you had to go through, they were pretty good about trying to prepare you as best as possible, like teaching you different things about how to dress for interviews, things like that, like how to put together outfits that make sense, And then also they brought in people from the VA to help you with like the disability claims and how to understand that process, which is really actually important for me because I end up getting 100% disability over the years, throughout the years, because of all the different things I've gone through. And it was really helpful. And not only has it helped me, I've been able to use that to help other veterans to go, hey, like, you're not asking for this benefit, but, because you don't think you deserve it, or you think that you're taking money away from somebody else who you believe deserves it more. But at the end of the day, as soon as you sign that dotted line, money is already allotted for you to be 100% disabled, whether you make it there or not. You're not taking money from anybody. It's already allotted. It's already there. It's waiting for you to just claim it. So by you not claiming it, somebody else is just, they're just, basically lining their own coffers in Congress. So they're not really doing anything with it. Might as well take advantage of it because you earned the right to be able to get that.
That's interesting. That's an interesting tidbit. I mean, not to interrupt you or anything. That's just fascinating to know that it almost sounds like when you're changing duty stations and you PCS, it's like, if you don't ask for the entitlement, then you just don't get it. But it's there for you to use. But if you don't use it, then you just lose money. That's interesting. Yeah. Interesting analogy how you put that there. Continue. Sorry.
No, yeah, that was pretty much it. I've helped a lot of people make a lot of money from the VA basically because they weren't getting benefits that they deserved.
So do you think some people would find that, what's the word? I find it very helpful, right? Like if I was transitioning now, I mean, I'm Kevin, what are the steps, right? Help me out here because, all this babysitting goes into getting somebody into the service, right? Mm-hmm. But then it's almost like, hey, take charge of your transition and carry out the plan of the day, and then you're kind of on your own basically because the mission continues, the operations continue, and hold on, I'm in Washington. Sorry, I apologize for that. Sorry, Kevin. Washington likes to conserve energy, so it's going to go on probably another one more time before we're done. I got to ask. So they do all this babysitting going in to get you in, but then it's kind of like, checking a box and take charge of your own transition and then figure it out. And you kind of just left to the fire almost, so to speak, to burn or either to live or to die. And most of us will make it, but some of us, we don't. Right?
Yeah.
So your transition was good, bad, ugly? All of it? All of the above?
All of the above. So it was good in the sense that we had a place to stay, right? So we ended up going back from. So I'm married, with 2 kids and everything. My wife's mom, my mother-in-law, she was living by herself because my father-in-law passed away while I was in the service still, and so we went and stayed with her for a little bit, and we had a place to stay. And in the meantime, my wife got a quick job doing stuff. She did some housekeeping at a hotel while I was out traveling, and I was just going to all different places. I was coming back here to the DC area. I was going to Chicago, to all these different places, do interviews with a lot of government organizations because that's what I knew. I would recommend having a good idea of the type of job you want when you get out. That's something I didn't. But again, I got out with quick notice. I was expecting to be in for another 1.5 years. But because of my contract situation, I was like, it happened within a couple months. So I didn't have as much time to plan as I thought I was going to. And most people don't have that issue. They tend to know when they're going to retire or whatever. And so mine was a little bit harsh in that reality. But again, like you said, I just made the best of it. I knew that it was always a place to be able. I had my clearance and everything, so I was always get back into the intel world and find a way to do that, and then just figure it out from there. So that's kind of what I did. But yeah, I would definitely recommend having at least a good idea of the type of work you want to do. Another thing I see is a lot of people tend to fall off the wagon in terms of physical fitness and things like that because they don't have the motivation, so to speak. They don't have. So I actually thought about this the other day. Is when you're in the service, one of the reasons why you end up working out a bunch or staying in shape is because you always have a mission of the possibility of getting deployed and fighting for your country. When you get out, you don't have that same drive and motivation because there's no mission, so to speak, that you're fighting for to stay fit for. So if you can find something to stay fit for, that'll help you transition in terms of the physical side, that you can stay mentally locked in to be able to go, oh, hey, I have something I'm striving for. For me now, it's the Spartan races. I love doing those things. And again, just to be able to stay fit and strong for my family now that I have my body and my capabilities back, that's important for me. And to, have that's the ability to protect my wife and kids and stuff. So that was always important for me. If you don't have that, find something that you can lock into so you have a purpose to stay in shape. And I think for me, I've noticed a lot of people have that lack of for that.
That's good. We're kind of hooking at ping pong, and I love ping pong. So it's great. Mm-hmm. So we'll roll right into it. So that kind of helped your mental health while you were transitioning from uniform to civilian. It did take time, yes?
Yeah, for sure.
And accountability it should be important. It should be valuable to you, to each and every one of us that served and transitions out. Your partner, your accountability was your wife. And fortunately, not everybody has that, but how did she help along the way?
So my mental health stuff, I actually don't I particularly like the term mental health just because I feel
Fair.
like it, and nothing against anybody who uses it. I think it actually takes away, in people's mind, it takes away your agency, your ability to control it, right? Because when you hear the word health, you think, I have to have a doctor to quote unquote manage it. But the reality is doctors don't manage your health at all. Actually, they manage your symptoms most of the time, right? Most doctors aren't set up to really get you healthy, especially in the Western medicine world. Their business model is to keep you there, right? Like, so they treat symptoms. They treat symptoms so that you keep coming back, right? So if they actually heal you, then you're no longer a customer.
Right.
And I
Interesting.
think in the mental space, it's the same thing. Like, that's why, I mean, not to bash psychology or anything like that, like, but I know way too many people that have been in therapy for way too long and have never gotten better. They're still dealing with the same problems. Well, it's because you're not getting a solution. So I took that upon myself. That's why I like the sports psychology stuff, because it's actually teaches you skills. Like, how do I overcome this? How do I beat this and no longer use it? So to get into the stoicism realm, the mental performance stuff. So like how elite performers use these mental tricks, or skills, I should say, not tricks, to overcome things and beat the demons inside, right? So that it's no longer defeating you. So I didn't have that skill. To get back to what you're asking, I didn't have that skill when I got out. So again, most of my skill and ability to get over that stuff was just to go get physical real quick and do a bunch of stuff and wear myself out and kick a basketball or something, right? Get, punch a punching bag, or, something physical and violent, and then maybe get a quick cry in and then move on. When I didn't have the ability, because I had a lot of cervical instability stuff, so my nervous system was a train wreck, I couldn't do anything active. By the time before I got my started treatments, I couldn't go from the couch to the fridge without basically being paralyzed. So it was so dreadful. So I had to learn the skill of how to overcome that and actually defeat it without being physical. And if you don't have that skill, it seems like it's impossible. But at the end of the day, that's why I like to use the word mental fitness rather than mental health, because it is a skill set that you can manage and I should say manage, you can learn to be able to overcome these ththings and deal with them as they come.
Interesting. Good,
But
Captain. This is good information.
to get back to what you're asking, what my wife did, she helped out a lot with the bill, getting a job and stuff. While I didn't have one, to be able, while I was out there searching for it. So she did that, and she was kind of like the person to help me do my best to manage my mental conditions, and stuff, and stay active and do as much as possible. And she was really good with that stuff. And the thing is too, and I don't give her enough credit for this, is in my situation where I went through all those health issues and we legitimately thought I was dying. She had no idea. For 13 years, I was undiagnosed, like I said, and I was just getting progressively worse. She had to deal with that too. And it's even harder, I think, for her at times, because she didn't know what was going to happen with her, right? So it's like she sees her husband just like basically becoming a train wreck physically, and all these doctors are just ignoring me, not really helping me for the most part. Now, there was a handful of them that did try to help, but they couldn't figure it out. So we had no idea what was going on. So she's dealing with that and then having to figure out what maybe she might have to do for the rest of her life, if, once I'm dead. And I'm sitting there thinking like, man, I actually think I'm better off dead. I'm worth more to you dead, because at least you'll have this life insurance money that you can then go live your life, pay off the house, do all those different things. And you don't have to worry about those things. And as it was, like, I was like, I don't even know if I'll be able to work. Like now I'm like doubly unstable, because now I'm like, well, not only am I a burden to you, I'm costing you money, because eventually I won't be able to work, which means you'll have no income. You'll have to make all the money, and I'm just going to be your bum here. And so I was like, I started getting to the point where I was like, man, I'm better off dead. I'm worth more to you dead.
Wow.
And that's why this stuff came into play. I started learning this stuff, and I was like, nah, I got to figure this out. And as I figured out my health and my physical health, the mental skills, I started learning those skills, and I was able to overcome a lot of this stuff. And then actually get to my mental or my physical health figured out. Now it's become just my physical fitness, so I can stay ready and able.
That's
And I
good.
don't have these issues anymore.
Wow. Kevin, that was deep. That was a short, deep couple minutes. I'll tell you what, you just said, I'm a burden to you. Now I'm financially burdened to you. It sounds like you just started loading the pack of just shoulder heavy ruck. For Marines, you got a pack that you put on, put a bunch of gear in because we got to go, from A to B, and we need all the gear that's in the pack. And it sounds like you're just loading up with just, not that you were negative, just the situation itself was just not good. So again, mental, and I want to be respectful. Mental fitness, right? Because you say mental fitness, or it's not mental health, it's mental. It's to your point. I have heard that more, and it's starting to become more prevalent in the, like, kind of in the sports type physical activity realm. They talk about it more there in terms of mental health, vice the actual doctors. And to your point of doctors earlier, wild, because if I was your doctor, Kevin, and I was in the business of healing you, and I healed you, you wouldn't have a reason to come back, or would you?
Yep.
Double-edged. On the flip side, you would, because what have I done? I have healed you. I've made you better. Now you're not here for this. You're going to be here for something else, and you're going to continue to come back. Vice, you just treat my symptoms. That's very powerful. Let me ask you. That's a bit of adversity there. That wasn't even in the service. That was actually after you got out, after everything just kind of been thrown at you, and you put it in your pack and you started walking with it. That's a bit, adversity introduces himself to somebody, and his true character comes out. And then obviously you're either resilient or you're not. There's no in between, right? It looks like you were very resilient. Your wife was a good tool for you, but individually, right? As an individual, we have to take a 30-inch step, so to speak, right? And you talk about marching, you take a 30-inch step forward. What did you do as an individual that you took accountability yourself?
Yeah, and just to be clear on that, it was a up and down battle, where it's like I'd have a stretch where I would be fully accountable and I would do my best to try to do it. And then there's times where after months and months or years and years of this stuff, like every now and then you'd get these lows and you just be like, man, I'm just done trying. And you just sit there and you would just like, almost like, be that victim, be that bum. And then something would kick back up and you go, and man, I can't be that. It doesn't sit right with me. It just wasn't who I was. I knew it. So I just kept fighting. And eventually it came to a point where I was like, no, I can't go down again. Like, no matter what, I got to figure this out. Like I said, it's just a skill set that you can learn. And if you don't put the effort and time and energy into learning that skill set, then you will just be that perpetual victim, For me, that's what I don't know if I answered your question there.
You did.
Sorry,
You learned. It's okay. This is good, because I'm learning. Definitely get some interesting gouge from you, Kevin. You have to have something tangible. You talk about a skill. What is one skill that you can share with the listeners, so that the ones struggling with mental fitness and transitioning out and struggling with mental fitness, give them something that's very tangible that they can be. Obviously, the physicality, being physical, helps. It releases some endorphins in the brain. I get that. I'm all about it. But the ones that can't be physical, like you said, your situation, give them something tangible that they can use right now moving forward.
Yeah, so the big thing is, like, you're just talking about the 30-inch step or whatever. It's really control the controllables, right? So it's like, what's the smallest thing I can do right now that I have control over? So rather than focusing on the things I don't have control, like I can't control your emotions. I can't control whether or not somebody hires me. I can't control this or that. But what I can control is how I show up each time. And regardless of what they say or do or don't do, or don't say, I can continue to control my effort, my attitude, and my emotions. And then on top of that, nobody else is responsible for my emotions. No matter what they do or say, I have to be accountable and in control of that. And the more I do that, the more I display that, the more people will recognize that, and you'll become more valuable as a human being. And we become more valuable as a human being, more opportunities will show up for you.
I've only heard that saying one other time with Dylan Hernandez. He got out, medically separated, back, served with him in San Diego as a drill instructor, drill sergeant, right? He got out, said the same thing, control the controllables. I go, it's a very, you need to put that on a shirt, put on the back of the shirt, control the controllables. That's good, because, it's just your small circle and everybody else. You've given us some good gouge, deep gouge. You went in kind of into the deep end of the, so to speak, the emotional rabbit hole. And then you kind of pulled us back in. It's like a roller coaster with you, Kevin, right now. It's a mental fitness now. You talked about earlier, you said you were into the life coach. What you were going through? Is that a catalyst for why you got into a life coach, mental fitness type of stuff?
Yeah, for sure. I think I've always kind of been doing it anyway, just because of my past and everything. But because I needed it so much myself, I needed to learn these skills and these things and figure out my own thought pattern and why I was struggling so much in terms of the mental side of things. Once I realized it was just a skill set, and I was like, oh, it also aligns with a lot of stuff I used to do. And like when I was at my best and I won't say happiest, but you know what I mean? Like when I was most effective in life, I was using a lot of these skills. I just didn't know it. And now I'm like, oh, it was just a skill. I just had the skill at the time. Now that I know the skill, I can actively use it rather than just using it on accident. It's like now I can intentionally utilize it in those moments where my thoughts start to go negative or dark, whatever. I can catch it and go, oh, I just need to reverse it. Because it's not about not having them, right? We're all going to have them. We're going to have those moments, no matter how good you get at these skills. The point of the skills is to catch it early and reverse it so that it doesn't continue to drag you down.
It's good. I'm gonna have to. You got to send me the links and stuff so I can put it on the little bio and everything. If somebody finds interest in Kevin Brewer, which I'm sure somebody will,
Yes.
and I know I have because you're on. No duh, right? So service. Thank you for your service first. Obviously, you came before me. You did it for a while. You found comfort in service. Obviously, transition was a little bit different for you. You got into where you're at now. How are you? Are you with this on the life coaching, the thing you do on the side? How are you? What do you think you should do to give back to the community in terms of service members, helping service members, period, past or present? Is that something that you're interested in? Is that something you do now? Is that your primary focus? Is just veterans and service members?
I would say it's my primary focus, but it's a big focus. I do love giving back. I've been a lot of these podcasts and stuff. I've been service oriented and veteran oriented because I do enjoy helping other veterans trying to figure this stuff out. Because again, we're taught all these skills of how to be basically killers and all those different things, but we're not taught how to control it afterwards. So I do try to give back to that to make say, hey, this is how you get back on this side. There is still a mission out here for you that you just have to figure it out. It's just different. You can still serve your communities. You can still do all these different things. And this is the way I'm going to try to do it, is by giving you these skill sets and helping you with your mindset and everything. But also, I've helped a lot of people, like I said, just, try to navigate the VA system, because the VA system it's set up to basically deny you first. For whatever reason, there's a lot of people that get denied early, and then they just have to keep, going. And the more they, go, the better situation they get. And a lot of people think too, it's like, well, if I get this, disability or whatever, what if it happens if I get better? It's like, well, one, that's ultimately the kind of the goal, right? Like, so I take my disability money and I put it into a lot of my body. I do a lot of stuff, and, people look at me like, oh, how are you 100% disabled? And it's like, well, the reason I look like I'm not now is because of how much money I spend on my food and nutrition, and I have a PT that comes to my house every week to do all these different things. I was like, so I put a lot of money back into out of my own pocket to build myself up to have this structure and this underlying system that I can use. But what they don't see is a lot of the conditions I have disabilities related to. Why I do all these things, because as soon as I stop doing them, they come back very quickly, because I have dealt with a lot of autoimmune and kind of like systemic issues. I get automatic feedback, from my body as soon as I derail myself. And so I use that money to be able to maintain my health and my fitness level, because that's what's important to me.
Yeah.
So if you're worried about that, again, it's not really a concern. And even if it is, well, then you'll have your health and you'll have this ability to then go out and make more money. You don't need it at that point then, right? So that's always a positive thing. But yeah, people, they get frustrated, or they try to do it themselves. I use a paid service to get my claim in. They just wrote the claims up. I just submitted them. And then when they helped me, prepare for the appointments and stuff, a lot of people don't like that, because they say like, well, I got to pay. It's like, well, you only pay if they get you money, right?
Yep.
So the system I use, like, it was 5 months of whatever increase you get. So it's like, if they get you $1,000, you pay $5,000. It's like, but by the time you get the 5,000 or the money from the payout from the VA, it's pretty much, you just give them what you got, the VA paid you. And then for the rest of your life, you get this extra money every month. and that you're not paying anybody. It's all coming back to you. So it's like, would you rather pay $5,000 or would you want to spend 6 months of your time? I'm telling you right now, 6 months of my time is worth more than $5,000.
Yeah, it's true because you can't get that time back. And money grows on trees. There it is. I told you one more time before we're done. 6 months of your time is definitely worth more than $5,000. Absolutely, because money does grow on trees. In this current culture, it just kind of prints out whenever it wants.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Well, money is, I mean, it's called a currency for a reason, right? It's just energy. So if I don't spend it, I don't go do it, right? Like I can find ways to make more money. I cannot, no matter what I do, I can never make more time, right? Like time is what it is. Like once you spend it, it's gone. You never get it back. I can spend money and make more money. You know what I mean? Like, but I cannot spend time and get it back. Nothing I can do. So I'd rather have my time than that money because the money will come back to me if I spend the money on something.
You're trying to make me cry right now. I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to hit my heart. I know what you're doing. It's crazy. Good. This is good stuff, man. Look, I'm very appreciative of who comes on, and I'm honored and privileged to have you on. Before this, I would have never met you. Before this, I would never know who Kevin Brewer was, right? And I always preface the conversation with anybody I talk to, veteran, service member, past or present. Your story is important, and your story helps. If it helps one person, we have done our job. And even if it's just me, if you're helping me, you know what I mean? Like this is good stuff. So I have to say thank you for your service. I have to say thank you for your time. I'm honored and privileged to have you on. You got a couple more minutes. I know your time's precious. I know you're probably getting paid for this. Probably we're on salary. That's here or there. But in terms of this session here, unfortunately I can't pay you. So, and I'm not getting paid anymore. So
No,
last couple, you got to save around for the listeners who are listening. Give them something, about Kevin moving forward. How can they reach you at, so on and so forth?
Yeah. So the easiest place to find me, is on Instagram at Coach Kevin Brewer. I post a lot of stuff on there. So that's usually where I spend the most of my time in terms of like posting stuff and helping people out. It's interesting. So, and I thank you for your service too, and thank you for your time. And I know the first time we tried to set this up, things got mixed up, and I actually did a post about this, and I said, "Hey, you know what? I screwed something up today, and I take full accountability for it." And I said, "Hey, I wasted somebody's time, and I actually got some shit for this. Somebody didn't like the fact that I said this, but I said I'm not owed a second chance. I'm going to learn from this mistake because I made a mistake. I wasted somebody's time, and I do not deserve a second chance." And people got pissed off about that. I'm like, no, you're not deserving of anything, because then that's me controlling your time, telling you, "Hey, you know what? I know I wasted your time that you can't get back. But because of that, you have to give me a second chance, which means you have to give me more of your time." No, I don't deserve that. You don't owe me that at all. But what I said is, all I can do is learn from this mistake, move on, accept it. And if he chooses to give me a second chance, or we can have this conversation, then I'm going to take the best, make the best of it. Yeah, I don't deserve it though, but I'm going to learn from my mistake. I think a lot of people don't do that. They don't learn from the mistake. They don't take accountability. They think they're owed something. It's like, no, I messed up. You don't have to give me a second chance. If you choose to, I'll accept it, but I am never going to ask you to give that to me because it's your choice, not mine. So I was like I said, I take this, I'm going to try to take full advantage of it. You give me that second chance. I really appreciate it, and hopefully, again, like you said, we can help somebody, whether it's you or somebody else, whoever it is. One person is enough, and if we can help more, even better.
That's a good save round. That's a good save round. Wow. I appreciate that. I'm about to tear up here after we're done, Kevin, you did a lot. I'll tell you what, I'm going to hit on that point too. We're not owed anything. We're not entitled to nothing. Everything is earned.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate that you taking accountability, putting that out there for the public to just kind of, for you to be transparent. I didn't even know that was going on behind closed doors. So, wow, that's crazy. You're not owed any, I agree. You're not owed I'm not owed anything. I have to earn every single thing that I do, to include the time that I have with my family. And I think you can agree with that too. So if you're listening, you're not entitled to nothing. You have no rights. You earn your rights by the choices you make. Agree.
And then to me, it makes it better, right? Because like now I have control over this. That's the part I have control over. Like I said, control the controllables. I can't control your time. I can't control your emotions. I can't control your energy, but I can mine. And I can be that light for somebody else. Rather, if somebody else is in a bad mood, I can still stay positive. I can still stay in my own, even if I stay neutral, right? I can stay that energy level to somebody else can pull from.
Yeah.
And I can just learn from the mistakes I make. We're going to make them. That's okay. Just learn from it and move on.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope you're not charging me for this session. I don't know how to start for hours. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Pit Talk, pulling pits and opinions with your host, Gunny G, where service members help service members, period. Follow, like, subscribe everywhere you get your podcast and on most social media platforms. Let us know how we're doing. Any criticism is good criticism, ladies and gentlemen. Me and Kevin, we're out. I'll see you later, dog. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, man.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.
Talk is a podcast featuring active service members who discuss their thoughts and opinions on various issues surrounding military life, current events, and history. The statements heard here are the opinions of its members and guests. These do not necessarily reflect the views of the Department of Defense and are not endorsed or sponsored in any way. Listener, viewer discretion advised.